Well, it's been a hell of a week for the royals in the UK, hasn't it, with the former Prince Andrew being the first royal to be arrested for over 3 centuries. Have a look at some of the front pages in the UK. Now he's sweating was my favourite from The Sun. We also saw the Daily Mail with the downfall headline and the Daily Star, taxi for Andy. Now a lot of British lawmakers are looking at what they can do to remove Andrew from the line of succession, and there are calls to release all the confidential documents around his appointment as a trade envoy. Let's go to Sky News contributor in the UK, Esther Krakue. Good to talk to you again, Esther. To unpack all this for us. What more are we going to find out? What's going to happen?
Well, Prince Andrew has effectively been told by the royal family that, you now belong to the police and whatever the authorities want to do for you. Because other than the fact that he was arrested, his emails with Jeffrey Epstein suggest that when he was a trade envoy, basically a lot of sensitive material that he received, within 5 minutes, he forwarded on to Jeffrey Epstein, basically triggered an arrest by the police, which generated that infamous image of him in the backseat trying to avoid paparazzi cameras. But from what the public have seen so far is very suggestive that he had a very tight and deep relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So to the extent that he was actually just forwarding on sensitive information that he received as a trade envoy. And for someone who is a financier and who is involved in financial markets for Jeffrey Epstein, it would have been very, very useful information indeed. The fact that he was arrested on the King's estate in Norfolk shows that the royal family is really cooperating with the police as you would expect them to, and they've basically said we cannot protect this man. Obviously the King has to ask all members of the Commonwealth whether they would be happy to remove Prince Andrew from the line of succession, which would basically be the final purge. We already know that Australian Prime Minister Albanese has approved of that, and I suspect there will be little opposition from other Commonwealth members to remove the stain on the royal family that is Prince Andrew. But it's been a very difficult week for the royals. All the work that they've been doing has been overshadowed by Andrew, even with Will and Kate being at the BAFTAs, looking as glamorous as ever, which is something that people really look forward to every year. Unfortunately, they've had the shadow of Prince Andrew's arrest and all the investigations into his relationship with Epstein basically overshadowing that.
Yeah, New Zealand as well have said they'd be happy for the former prince to be dropped off the line of succession. I wonder if there's something, Esther, you could pass on our behalf to the lawmakers of the UK and to the judiciary, and that is if the former prince, is convicted of any crime, could they please not transport him to the penal colony of Australia? We don't want him.
Well, thank you. We will make note of that. At the moment, we are looking into potentially a desert somewhere in the Middle East, a very nice, cozy desert. That's on the couple of people's list. I've heard people mention a small village in India where he will spend the rest of his life volunteering. But no, this whole thing has been very unedifying for the royal family,
sure has.
Even though it's not their fault.
I just want to go to what the current Trade Minister has to say about it all. Here he is.
A man on a constant self-aggrandising and self-enriching hustle. A rude, arrogant and entitled man who could not distinguish between the public interest, which he said he served, and his own private interest.
Yeah, most of the world agrees with that. You're saying the royal family hasn't really been involved in this. It's not their doing, but perhaps they gave him too much latitude over too long a period.
Well, I think most people are shocked by the complete lack of judgment that the former Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson established. I mean, it was clear that they were in it just to make as much money from their status as royals as possible. I mean, Prince Philip famously described Sarah Ferguson as odd and pointless and barred her from basically being seen with the royal family after her divorce from the former Prince Andrew. But the whole thing has been really quite shocking to the extent that he was willing to really trade in his royal status for any sort of money. I mean, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, even though he denied it going as far back as it did, is incredible. And you've had, now former protection officers of his coming out to describe him to the media, saying he had a nickname amongst the other protection officers, and it rhymes with punt.
Yes.
So you can imagine that he wasn't a very popular man.
He was not popular at all, and he's even less popular now. Thanks for joining us, Esther. Appreciate it. Esther Krakue there.